Hi guys, welcome to this session on Microsoft Word. In this module, I want to have a look at tables, how to create a table, the basic tables, how to embed tables and link tables. First of all, let's have a look at a basic table. So on the Insert tab, you have this option, Tables, and when you drop the arrow down, you have several ways, different ways to create a table. So I'll just quickly go through a couple of those. First one is you just move your mouse over this gridded area and click, and then that will produce the table depending on whichever size that you created. If I undo that one, Control Z. Second one, Insert Table. You go into this option where you are getting a box and it's asking you for the dimensions for your table. Same sort of thing appears. Undo that one. Next one, Table. You can draw a table where you get a pencil on the screen. You draw the outside elements first, and then you can go from top to bottom to draw a line, and then you can go across for a row, and you can even go diagonal both ways if you want, like so. And then click Draw Table off, and then you get rid of that little tool. So I'll just undo that one. Next one, Table, Spreadsheet. This is an Excel spreadsheet. So what you get here is a spreadsheet in Excel embedded into Word, which is great if you want to do some simple calculations. Alt equals is the key command for sum in Excel. If I just click away from that now back into Word, you can see that that's an embedded spreadsheet. And if I double click back into Excel, go to the View tab and take the grid lines off so you can't see the grid lines, and you can actually make this box smaller if you don't need a large area because it is using up memory, and then come back into Word. So it sits there embedded in. It does use a bit more memory, but there you go. That's a quick way. And go back in there, change one of these figures, and it recalculates, and then you click out. So that's quite cool. You can actually do that in Word, which I'll show you in a second. I'll just get rid of all that. And the next one is these quick tables, which are preset formats, layouts, if you like, that are already there for you to click on and have a start point. Obviously, you put your text in here. It's just giving you the actual layout. So I'll undo that. So first off, we're going to create a basic table and go through some of the features that you've got in a table. So I'll go 4x4, and what you have is a little indicator in the top left hand corner which you can click on to select the whole table, and a little box in the bottom right hand corner which you can drag to enlarge all of these cells together or make them smaller, whichever you want to do. And then you click into a cell. When you click into a cell, on the ruler, if you've got the ruler activated, and you should always have the ruler activated, view ruler, you can see you have got indent markers, left indent, right indent, and then these little column markers, these little square blocks. So you can actually move those columns to resize those columns, and if you hold your Alt key down while you're doing that, you'll get the measurements coming up on the ruler. So you can get the same measurements. The same thing will apply in the rows down this left hand side. You can adjust the rows, and again, if you hold the Alt key down, you get the measurements, which is a bit more difficult to see. If you have to set a table up with precise measurements, that's what you can do. There are also features at the top here that you can use to set that up, because as soon as you add a table, you get these tabs, Table Design and Layout, appearing. So you can set the width and heights of the whole table from there. For example, so if I say I want this to be that be 1 centimeter, say, by 2 centimeters, then you can set it from there. So you don't need to manually change this. I'll just undo that so it goes back to what it was on, which I can't remember exactly what it was, but that looks about right. So when you type, so let's do some titles. So name, you press your tab key to move across to the second column. Name, department, just do a deep depth. date and email. No, let's not do email, let's do salary. And then you press tab again to come down, and then you can start filling it in. So I'm just pressing my tab key to come across. In fact, I'm not going to have date because it's going to take too long to type. What can I have there? Tell number. Then I can just type some random stuff in there. Same with salary. Do the pounds. Press tab again. So just type 3 people. They're both in the sales department. Different telephone number on different amounts. And then the last person can be Jones. He's in retail. Got a different telephone number and is on a different amount of money. So that's how you type it in. Now if you want an extra row, you don't need to worry about inserting rows at the top and things like that. Press the tab key again and you get an extra row and you just carry on. I will leave that there because I'm going to use it later on. Now, under table design, you've got lots and lots of different color schemes and design types, but I tend to not use those and do it myself. So if I highlight the whole row, this little toolbar comes up with some cool features that I can use. So let's make that grey, and let's say I want everything bold and everything centered on that top line. Everything else can stay the same. Now, if you decide you want to sort this table in alphabetical order, for example, if you go to the layout tab, you've got a sort option, and when you click on sort, it gives you this sort of box. So you've got sort by name, which is what I want, and then we'll do it by department. It will only go to these, and then salary. It will only go to these second columns if there's a duplicate, and there isn't a duplicate, so it's just going to stay there. But it would do that for this column if I'd sorted that on department. I'll just click OK to that. It's put the blank column at the top, which is great. So I'm just going to get rid of that. So right click, delete rows. So what I did there was I just went into the margin, which is the selection area. Same for a paragraph. Right click, delete row. For now, I'll add that later on. Now I want to quickly add a row. Now to add a row, you can see as I move my mouse to the edge, I get a plus. If I click that, it'll give me a plus, a new row, and it's picking up the format from the top, which means if I type, it'll be bold. But I don't want that, so I'm just going to get rid of that. Right click, delete row again. There's lots of different ways of deleting things. You've got delete at the top there, you've got insert above and below, insert left and right, lots of different ways. But I want to insert above, so I'm highlighting the top row and then right clicking insert above, rows above, to give me a complete row above, which does want to be in the same format that I've got there. Then I'm highlighting that because I want to merge and center these, make that into one cell. And then I'm going to do a title, which is going to be accounts department, and that'll do. Now I want to split this off. So you've got split cells, which will split a cell into two. But you've also got split table, which will split this table into two. So if I click on there, on the line below where I want the split, and then I split the table, it will give me the option to split table like that. And then maybe you can do a title in the middle, whatever you want to call it, staff details 2020. Now that is aligned, center aligned within the page, not the table. So your table, my table is not going to the edge, which is a mistake I've made, but it doesn't matter for this. You can, before I split that, I should have pulled that to the edge, but I didn't, so that's my fault. Now, if you want to add these rows on every printed page, which at the moment there's no need because it's only a few, but let's say you had lots of records. I'm just going to hold my tab key down to go down to the bottom of a second page. Well, just before I get to the bottom of the second page actually, and then I'm going to highlight that row, and then what you've got on layout is rows to repeat at the top, header rows. So if I click that, that'll hopefully work for me. On the second page, if I carry on going down, holding the key down, when I get to the second page, you can see the rows repeat at the top, and they will appear on every single printed page. Just clicking Ctrl Z a million times to get back up to the top. Now you can also put numbers. If I highlight the whole table and go back to home, you can put a numbered list on there, 1, 2, 3, but it puts it on everything. I don't want that. Ctrl Z, undo. So if I just highlight the first column, I just want the numbers on the actual names, 1, 2, 3. And then what's really cool, if you highlight that row and move rule to the top, he becomes number 1 and Jones becomes number 2. Now I know I've messed up the sort there, but what I'm trying to show you there is that the numbered list just resorts itself, which is what I wanted it to do. Now in each of these cells, you can see, as I've already said, you've got a left and right indent. So if I just pull that one across, you can see what that does. I'll just push it back again. So this is like a mini little document, and there's the right one. And in there you can also put tabs. So let's put a center tab in there. Center tab. That's the right tab. I want a center tab. I'm going to went past it. Center tab. Put it in there. And then when you press tab, you see what happened on there. It just jumped to the next cell. So if I wanted this retail to be on that tab, press tab, it just jumped to the next cell. So what I need to do is hold my control key down and press tab, and then it will just go there. Now depending on which version of Word you've got, sometimes the newer versions will go to the tab, but this one is not. It's just going straight across, tab to the next cell. So for me to utilize that tab, I would have to do Control and tab, and it will go there, and then tab again after that. Just tab on its own, it will carry on going to the next cell as you'd expect. So that's the basic table. Now what can you do in terms of table design formatting? I've already done the shading on the right mouse button, but you can shade individual cells. You can put borders on individual cells. So you've got border styles. You've got different borders. So I can put all borders is already on, but if I take the borders off, for example, no border on that cell, but you can still see a dotted line. If you go to layout, you've got view grid lines. So for example, if I take all of the lines off, if I go back to designs and go no borders, so there's no borders on, but you can still see those dotted lines. If I do print preview for a second, Control P, you can't see, they're not going to print, so there's no lines on there. And if I go back into my table, if I go to layout, I can take the view grid lines off, and then you don't even see the grid lines. Not recommended, I don't think. I think you probably do want to see the grid lines because it's not going to affect the print preview. And then you can, if I go back to the borders, you can change the border color, border width, border style, pen color, put red on there for example, and then what you do to the borders thereafter will take these settings. So for that cell I've clicked on there. If I change this back to something smaller and a different color, let's go for blue. You probably won't see blue, can't see blue, it's too thin, but you get the idea. You can basically change the criteria for each of these cells here, and then you apply it through the borders box, and then it's applied to whichever cell or cells you've got selected. And I've already told you can move that. Now to delete all of this, when I click on this, selects the table, press delete, nothing happens. Just deleted the text, which is strange. Delete, nothing happened. Right click, cut, disappears. And that's basically what you have to do. Cut the table out of the way, get rid of everything. So what I want to do is do a draw table. So insert tables, draw a table, and just go through some of those features again, just to show you that you can do all of this. Draw a few columns like so, and then a few rows. So usually when you draw a table, you don't get things accurate the first time. So you do probably need to use, if I take the draw off, you've got the eraser if you make a complete mess of it. But you've got, if I highlight these 3 columns, for example, you've got distribute rows and distribute columns evenly, so that made them even. And if I come down and do the same for the rows, if I just highlight these rows, distribute rows, that makes them all nice and even. Now if I type my name in one of these cells, it sits in the top left hand corner, but you've got these 9 different options of alignment, so you can position this wherever you want, like that. However, if I press enter, let's see what happens now. So what's happening now is it's not going in the center, because if I put show hide on, show hide, it's got a line space there, so that will not center until I get rid of that, and now it's centering. Look, take the show hide off. So if you ever have a problem with aligning text within a box, have a quick look at show hide to see if there's nothing else being pressed. Nobody's pressed enter, basically. It's not a great thing if somebody has in a table. You've got text direction, so you can spin this around. So basically, if you wanted to put income in there and you want that to go on its end, whichever way, and then still got the center buttons, so you can put that in the middle, and then you can create a table like so. So it's quite easy to create a very dynamic looking table. You've got auto fit features there for a particular part of the table. Coming across here, you've got all different things. And properties, if you go into properties, you can set the table where it sits in terms of text. So it's on the left margin at the moment, but you can put it in the center, the table in the center if you want. I will put that on there. Let's just see what that does. So let's just move that across a little bit. Go back in there. You've got wrap text around, and then you've got row information, which you've also got there, column and cell, which is all this sort of stuff I've just been doing there. So if you can't find it on the ribbon, go into properties. Table design is all about colouring in, really. We've already gone through that. Now let's get rid of all this. So I'll click on the top left hand. Oh, before I do that, one more thing. You can insert a table inside a table. So if I go insert table, you can create things like that. So you've got like a little ticky boxes if you want to insert a tick box in there, or whatever it is, some options you might want to do. So I'll just delete that one off. Get rid. Cut. If I can get it, cut. And cut that one. And then I want to do one more little table. I'll just do a 3x3 table. So just call it name, and then we'll have Steve and Bob. That's only because it's easier to type. Salary, and then we'll just give them some figures. Pounds 21,000 and pounds 21. Don't know why he's got more. Want an extra row underneath that, and then we can have totals. And what we can have there is annual. No, not annual, monthly. Just to show you some formulas you can do here. So if I want to add up these two salaries, I showed you earlier on that you can embed a Word document, but you don't actually need to do that because you've got formula options in Word itself. So if I click on formula on the right there, it defaults to SumAvove, and then you've got a number format, like so. I want it like that. There are functions you can use as well, not many, but there are a few. Now the big difference between this and Excel is it is not dynamic, and I'll show you what I mean by that. If I click OK to that, that's worked that out. So therefore the formatting on these top two should be similar, otherwise it looks a bit odd. And then if you change that, so if I give myself a pay rise, so I've gone up to 25,000, in Excel that would have automatically updated, but in Word you have to use the F9 key, which updates fields, to update that information. So I'm just going to press F9, the F9 function key, and then that recalculates. If I just do undo, so it was on 42, redo, it's now on 46. So that's a downer, but it's not a massive downer. So you can create lots of templates with formulas in, and when you print things off, you can set it up so it updates fields, or you could just have a macro button to update fields, or just remember to do F9. In this cell, I just want to divide that by 12, so you don't need to use the sum function. I can just do the formula in there. So I don't want sum left, so I'll just get rid of the sum left, and I need to refer this as, that's column A, column B, and that's row 1, row 2, so that is cell B2, so it's going to be equals B2 divided by 12, and that's all I want to do. And then paste the number format in, and then click OK. So it's divided that. Now I can't, in Excel I would be able to pull this down and it would automatically dynamically look at that B3, but in Word it is not dynamic as I've already said. So what you have to do is copy it, which is what I've done, and then go back into this and change that to B3. And now you can only do that if you've got it highlighted like I've got there. Okay, and then that's divided that by 12. Now if I do Alt F9, you can see the codes, the formulas, so you could have done that and edited it there. And I'll do Alt and F9 again and bring it back. And then you can just do SumAvove for this. So I'll just do the formula again, and it's automatically picked SumAvove. You set the number format, you click OK, and then that adds that up. And as they change, you'll have to F9 this. Now if I insert a column at the end of here, and let's just say bonus, just one last thing. Let me do a formula that will look at this salary of 25 and say bonus is going to be 10% of that, or yeah, 10% of that. So that is going to be an if statement. So back into there, I need to get rid of sum left and paste the function if. So it's going to be cell B2. So if B2 is greater than 20,000, comma, look at B2 and times it by 10%, 0.1, otherwise 0. So if it's not greater than that, they don't get a bonus, like so. So obviously that would be sales, not salary in this case. But if I click OK to that, he gets a bonus. If I reduce this to 19,000 and then copy this formula down, this guy should not get a bonus because it's not true. But I'll have to go and edit that to say B3, and that one's going to be B3 as well. Click OK. He gets 0 bonus, which is correct. Now if I highlight the whole table, because that figure is not correct, and so now there's this one because they haven't been updated, and then do the F9, everything should be updated, and it did. So if I give him, let's say, goes over again, all I now need to do is click on that, do the F9, and everything should update. And the last thing there is a formula to add those two up, which is already there, SumAvove, and then you paste the format, and there it is. So that's it. That's all I want to talk about on tables. So hopefully you've enjoyed that, and thank you for your time.